Okay, I'm going over the language videos I had selected a couple of months ago, a few months ago. And heading to my flashcards. If you're going to Vietnam with 10K, you can skip this part. Yeah, you don't have to be resourceful. You got enough money to be, you know, whatever you want to be. You're a foreigner with money. Yeah. Okay. If you're going with 4K, stay put. Oh, which also brings me to another point. When I'm going, doing my additional research kind of thing, trying to cover everything. Now that I have to be resourceful again. Okay. Came across a video that was mentioning how much money you should have. And the numbers 2,000 to 5,000 came up. That range came up. Okay. 2,000. Really? Yeah. No. At all. No. It's not going to work. No. I was just really straining to try to figure out how they even came up with that number. And the only thing I came up with was the age factor. If anything happens, they're more than comfortable, to pick up their cell phone and or whatever, and drop mom or dad a line and say, borrow me some money, Western Union me some. Yeah. That's not going to work. No. Also, they probably had to put their airplane tickets on their credit card, because I'm assuming they have a credit card. Yeah, that's not going to work. I don't care how no. You only have 2,000. Do not come. Don't leave your country if you only have 2,000. Yeah, no. Really, that's the only thing I could come up with. Why would they even throw out that ridiculous number? They put the airplane tickets on their credit card, and if anything happens, they're going to call mom and dad, wire me money, because there is no way that's going to work. No. 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 Forget it. No. So, yeah. Wow. That number blew me. Don't do it. I don't even. It took me a while to even try to figure out how they could come up with that number. No. So, yeah. Okay. Vietnamese. Learning Vietnamese. Yeah. Like I said, I was going through this. Excuse me, I won't be able to see this thing. Oh, I know the camera's right there. Made some notes. I was gonna just type this into the playlist description. I used to. That looks weird. Okay, I'm just staring at a little shiny thing. Okay, I used to just download the videos, but you can't do that anymore. So I had to do this playlist thing, and I thought I did a pretty good job. But now that I'm really going through it, Playlist 1 and 2 seem okay. 3, the first 2 videos are okay, and the rest I kind of threw together. Because a lot of them I think are Southern. One of them, it doesn't even have anything in English. I mean, no explanation, so that's probably going to be transported to playlist 4 if I can figure out if it is a Northern or Southern dialect. It's a shame because a couple of those Southern ones really were exactly what I was looking for, but I don't think it's Northern. And there is nothing worse than having to relearn something you've worked hard to learn. I mean, that must be the worst. If you ever want to just kill any motivation, force yourself to relearn something. I don't know anything that can kill motivation faster. It's just, yeah, no. So better not to learn it if you suspect that you're learning the wrong thing. And unless you have a background in the language, you absolutely need an audio component. Because you are going to have to unlearn even the best language book that really just strained hard to get the pronunciation right, written phonetically. It's only an approximation. You don't know what this darn thing sounds like. So if you don't have an audio component, just don't do it. Because having to unlearn what you've learned is tragic. I mean, that's what's going to kill any motivation you've got. So don't do it. Okay, unless you have a background in the language, culturally, you just grew up hearing it. If you can't get audio confirmation, don't leave it alone. You're just going to have to wait until you can get language material that has an audio component. Unless, again, you've got a background in that culture, you grew up listening to the language, you know exactly how it's supposed to sound, more or less how it's supposed to sound, even if not exactly, whatever. And let's say it's been a while, but you can't really explain it, but you know when you're hearing it, You may not know the rules governing it, but you know it when someone says something right or doesn't. So, unless you have that kind of background, don't bother. I can't think of a worse thing than having to unlearn what you've learned. That's got to kill. I don't even know how you get over that. So, your language material, whatever you pick, has to have an audio component if you have no background in the language. So when you have something like Northern dialect, Southern dialect, be sure you're picking the right dialect. I mean, that's a killer. So yeah. So my playlist, Vietnamese playlist 3, beyond the first 2 videos, disregard it. I'm gonna have to put one of those on playlist 4, assuming it's Northern, and I'm gonna have to remove the rest, except for the other 2 longer ones. So, the same group made those as the 2 I'm keeping. But it's such a long video. It's like an hour and a half each. I mean, so it's like, it's, just once you've done everything else kind of thing. Because keep it short. The material should be enjoyable to work through. I can't imagine anything less enjoyable than a foreign language for 1.5 hours. So, no. That's just when you're desperate to add to your vocabulary and you've already covered everything else. You got all the other information, committed to memory, and you can sail through everything else, and you're still eager to learn. Then you can go ahead with an hour-and-a-half thing. But my gosh, that's for a foreign language video. That's way too long. No. Yeah, I think I did a pretty good job in the first 2 playlists, though. And again, the first 2 videos in the playlist number 3, Vietnamese playlist number 3, are pretty good. Very good, actually. Mostly for the cultural context. But, yeah, and again, I would have just put this stuff on the description part of the playlist thing. But I've got to cut and paste everything, and I've got to do it through my little mobile phone because this place blocks off access to a lot of sites, YouTube. So it's major pain. I'm going to have to wait until the 1st of the month when I get, my data, when I have data left in my account, which I go through within a day, uploading and whatever. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and read the notes I've got. 4 videos in this playlist are only intended to be hit. Okay, this is referring to Vietnamese playlist 2. And 4 videos in this playlist are only intended to be a heads up. How to say yes and no in Vietnamese, how much, how many, tag questions, and 5 most common mistakes. When starting to learn a language, the last thing you should be thinking about are mistakes. Yeah, don't even go there, because everything you're doing is a mistake, okay? All you're doing is tumbling around until you get some kind of handle on certain parts of the basics. That's all you're doing. Everything you're doing is a mistake, so don't even worry about mistakes. Everything you're looking at, everything you're writing, everything you're saying, everything is a mistake. So don't worry about it. Okay. Use these videos as a precursor for formal classes. If you're not willing to do the work, do not throw your money away. I put this all in caps. I.e. you're leaving beginner mode and entering serious student mode. Okay, don't throw your money away. I also get into the Xenotera video I've included. I'm just going to leave that for, I'm not going to get into that. I mean, I'm going to leave the notations I left on it, but I go on to highly recommend flashcards. I love flashcards. Flashcards are awesome. Okay. Yeah. And what is emphasized? I try to really focus on things that I would have found useful. I wish I had known kind of approach to it. And my final question I wrote down is, when am I going to throw down for some lessons? When I get a decent paying job. Yeah, I may not even. I'm going to go ahead and look at myself. So I think I'm done with the notes. Okay. It's hard to interact with this thing. Yeah, I may not get into a position where I'm going to pay money to learn the language. I don't know if I'm going to stay there. The material you get, it has to be in Hanoi because the dialects just vary all over the place. Even in Hue, I understand Hue also, they speak differently. So, how differently? I don't know. I'm lucky if I can get Sin Chow out, you know? It's one thing having the information, it's another thing being able to apply it when you're under fire, which I came across the first time I went through. You know, you pick up one or two phrases, but even when you're in that situation, you're so kind of, you're already so, you know. I've gone blank. I can't even think of it in English. You're so flustered. There you go. That your mind goes blank. So, yeah. So anyway, I put the playlist together as well as I could. Number 3 obviously is going to have to be completely redone, except for those 4 videos, 2 of which I'm not going to bother with until I've committed everything else to memory. Because an hour and a half, really? No. Okay. So, yeah. I think everything else is Southern dialect. Like, I need to put myself in a position where I'm actually have to, no. So, you can more or less dismiss playlist 3 with the exception of the first 2 videos. And I actually wrote notes about that. Let me see. Hold on, it's in the draft. Playlist 3. 30 basic words. It starts out with verbs. The examples they give are too elaborate for a beginner, but it does put things into context. Odds are, no matter what level of proficiency you've acquired in Vietnamese, you'll probably learn something from this video. Okay, hold on. Write that. Okay, for this video instead of from this video. From this video. Okay. Another bonus, probably the biggest one, is that the examples this video uses focuses on concepts most language learners obsess about. How long is it going to take learning Vietnamese? How long is learning Vietnamese going to take? Am I making any progress? It is hard to tell after the very beginning. Am I an idiot? You're a foreigner. Yes, you are an idiot. Don't worry about it. Is this supposed to be this hard? And then it goes back to verbs. The video goes back to verbs. Answer to those questions: 3 to 5 years. Yes, you're making progress. No, you're not an idiot. And yes, it is supposed to be that hard. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, supposedly it'll take you 3 to 5 years to learn Vietnamese, to a point where you can consider yourself fluent. She gave an example of you know, it only took me 1 year to become fluent in Vietnamese, and you know, then she was commenting on that example that if it only takes you 1, people are going to be very impressed because that's quite an accomplishment. So supposedly you're looking at 3 years before you can muddle through. Um, After 10 years, you're supposed to be some kind of master. So that's not an impossible task, but one you have to remain committed to. So you're looking at 3 years before you can muddle through the darn thing. And if you're fluent in 3 years, you're a very good student. 5 years if you're just lazy and kind of like want to get, learn the language, but you go back and forth. No, it's not an easy language. It's yeah, they use the same alphabet, but and yeah, the confusing parts once you just start into it, that's quickly remedied. But it still has those tones. It still has sounds we're not used to. So it's going to take work. You're going to have to, yeah, this is work. It's not just going to happen. So, yeah. Let me look at this thing because looking at that dot just isn't doing it. Yeah, it's not going to just happen. If you can go to Vietnam and never learn Vietnamese, if you don't want to, you're going to have plenty of company. Apparently, you can get by that way, but the more money you have, the more you can get by, regardless. The same as always. No, that's not fair, but yeah, life is never going to be fair. Do not wait for life to be fair because you're going to die very bitter and disappointed. Which may happen anyway, but no, life is not fair. If you got money, you can get by with not having to be resourceful or hardworking or a lot of stuff. So, yeah, no, it's not fair, but there it is. So if you're going with 4K, learn a little, okay? I'm not going to say learn Vietnamese before you get there. That's ridiculous. It won't happen. And I'm not even going to say you absolutely have to know a few phrases before you go there. If you go there with 4K, no, you don't. You'll find people who will understand you. But me being the person I am, I'm just approaching it this way. So, yeah, 10K, you don't, just go ahead. You're going to be dealing with enough. 7K, you can learn how to say Sin Chow. Sin Chow is not going to kill you. Come on. 4K, yeah. I'll tell you right now, coming from there, what I had considered rice, noodle, beef, chicken, fish, pork, vegetables, fruit. That's the food. That's Rusty Compass, part 3, I think. Yeah, the phonics. That was the alphabet one and the consonant clusters. Yeah. You're gonna climb the wall if you keep on seeing these letters and seeing that TR and hearing people say ch, instead of t or whatever, tra or whatever. And I'm going to tell you how I phrased those questions because that drove me up the wall. Okay, from those 2 videos, I put, here's the phonics thing. What letters sound like Z? What letters sound like S? What letters sound like D? What letter almost sounds like D? Alright, so what letters sound like Z? D and R. Also GI combo, but that's from the other video. What letters sound like S? S and X. What letter sounds like D? And then I wrote down the D with the lines through it. See, I don't know if you can see that. If I hold it still, it may, I don't know what the hell. I don't know if you can see any of that. Okay, here are the, okay, this is from having just used flashcards a lot. I try to fit in 4 to 5 words or questions because, as I put in my notes but didn't read out loud, you just dedicate one card to one question, you're going to end up with Mount Everest piles of flashcards all over the place. So try to fit 4 to 5 words or questions on these things. Okay, so yeah, that's what I got from that video. So what letter sounds like D? And they've got the regular D that we've got, right? And then they've got the D where they draw the line through it, like that. I don't know if you can, it's clear enough. Right over there. And that's the one that actually sounds like D. The other one is Z, like the R. R and D sound like Z. And the GI combo also sounds like Z. Okay. What letter almost sounds like D? T. If you just see T, like T when you say I, the pronoun I, yourself, I, is like a T-O-I thing. It sounds more like doi than toy. Okay? Doi. Anyway. And in parentheses, I put TH combo sounds like T. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, the last one. What letter? Is this thing backwards? I think you're gonna see it backwards. I don't know. What letter almost sounds like D? T. TH combo sounds like T. So I think that's backwards to you. I don't know. Okay, that's one card. Confusing combos. What does TR sound like? What does QU sound like? What does GI sound like? What sounds like you're clearing your throat? And the last question, what's with all these H's? You go to Vietnam, you're looking at all these signs. Everything has H's in them. I have no idea what's up with that. But anyway, confusing combos. This is from the consonant cluster video. Okay, what does TR sound like? CH. What does QU sound like? Qua. What does GI sound like? Z. I'll put in Z. Oh, okay. What sounds like you're clearing your throat? KH. I just want to, and as an example, I put home. And by the way, the NG sounds like an M. I don't know what's up with that, but there we go. Okay, so home means no. It also means 0, at least in the north. I think in the south they say 0 for 0. I don't know. But in the north, home, which sounds like you're clearing your throat to begin with, and sounds like an M at the end. Home, home, means no or 0. Okay. It's spelled KHONG. And I don't know why, but the NG When it's at the end of a word, sounds like an M. When it's at the beginning of a word, that's a fun one. Anyone learning Vietnamese knows what I'm talking about. Rusty Compass did it the best when he was trying to explain that last name, and he just did it like 3 times. N, n, n. And then, how is that last name go? Nuet? Nuet? I don't know. But anyway, oh boy, you think no, anyway. But I had been practicing how he tries to get you to say it in the video previous to that. Anyway, you start out with the N, just the sound, G, and then just B, B, B. Then he went out and said the last name. Okay. So that's when it's at the beginning of the word. When it's at the end of the word, like in no or zero in the north, it sounds like an M. I don't know why, but it's consistent enough for you to commit it to memory. So it's very consistent. It really is. More so than English, I can tell you that much. So, but you gotta know about them, because if you just look at this thing, it drives you crazy. What's with all these H's? Okay. As just stated, KH, throat clearing. PH, same as English sounds. Oh, I'm sorry. CH and PH, same as English sounds. In other words, CH in Vietnamese also sounds the same one. Cheese, chair, no, whatever. Same sound, same combination. PH is the same thing. Photo, phone, whatever. PH sound also, it has the F sound in Vietnamese. So that's the same as English. TH, I think I mentioned that in the other one, sounds like a regular T sound. NH sounds like the Spanish ñ, so which is basically NI, Spanish I, which is E, because we don't have the E sound, we have the E sound, which we use the letter I for. So like niño or niña. If you break it down, all it is just the sound of the N with I following it. But whatever. Anyway, in Vietnamese, the NH combination sounds like the Spanish ñ. I guess they do that extra ñ thing in the whatever. Anyway. And drum roll, please. Yes, I actually put drum roll, please, in there. The IEE rule. When writing, H follows NG and G when these letters precede IEE. In other words, if you have a word with NG in it, if you're writing it down, in other words, when you're saying it, it's a silent H. You don't actually pronounce it. But if you're writing it down, the NG, and then you're going to put the either the I, E, or the E with the little hat on it, on top of it, the little sign. You got to put an H after that. But the H, you're not going to actually pronounce the H. Just whatever. Same thing with G. If you got a G and then you're going to use an I or an E with a little hat on top of it, you got to put a silent H afterwards. So you're going to have the NGH even though you don't pronounce the H. You're going to have the GH even though you don't pronounce the H. If it goes on to if an I or E follows it afterwards. So yeah, there are a lot of H's. There are a lot of H's. And yeah, you are going to have to write it out and put it on a flashcard and review this information because it's going to drive you up the frickin' wall. Because you are not going to be able to figure out what is going on with all these H's. These people are not pronouncing these H's. Why are they putting these H's everywhere? That's right, they're silent H's, at least with the IEE rule, which is, yeah, the NG and the G have that. Well, and yeah, TH does not sound like TH, it just sounds like T. And the T sounds more or less like a D. Yeah. And the KH, throat clearing. But the CH and the PH sound like our CH and our PH. So, yeah, go figure. Alright. Just to confuse us even further. Alright. But yeah, that's about it. That's enough, isn't it? Right? Extra credit. Which English letters are not found in the Vietnamese alphabet? I say extra credit because, oh gosh, it's already 37 minutes. I say extra credit because it really doesn't matter. But if you're just idly wondering, gosh, is there any letter that, yeah. There's no F, there's no J, there's no W, and there's no Z in the Vietnamese alphabet. They've got all the rest. They use all the rest. F, J, W, Z. Well, with all the Z sounds, yeah, but there's no Z. Again, what makes the Z sound? Because that's gonna, yeah. D and R. D, R, and the GI combo, actually, if you want to include combos in what makes the Z sound. D, R, the letter D, the letter R, and the combo GI make, those three things make the Z sound. Yeah. And again, TR, what does TR sound like? CH. Remember T. That T, that one, T and hour. T is cha, and hour is, what is hour? Zo? So? Okay. Yeah, the vowels are another thing. Okay, I haven't gotten to them yet. Leave me alone. Alright. But the hour, go ahead and work on that one because that comes out, it means hour or time, I think. Because you'll see that on almost every other sign you see. I guess if you're going to put down the hours, it's going to have it right now. So that GIO, you're going to see that. It's Zo or Za or whatever the heck it is. Because it's not Geo. Then you can put money on that one. But it's either Zo or Za or whatever. It has a Z sign. Alright, this is heading into 40 minutes. Alright, I didn't mean it to go on that long. But flashcards. Alright, try to fit 4 or 5 words or questions on these things. This is going to save you so much aggravation. It really will. Of course, you've got all that money. You can pay someone else to deal with everything, right? Have a go-between. You can afford a go-between. Let someone else deal with all the. But if you're the one that's going to have to deal with it, this is going to save you so much aggravation. So, yeah. Flashcards are wonderful things. It's just an index card. Blank on one side, ruled on the other. So, you know, everyone will develop their own thing, but yeah, you should try to at least get 4 or 5 questions or whatever on there. Because these things pile up, you know, in a blink of an eye, otherwise. Alright, it's already past 40 minutes. I did not mean to go on that long. If you're not going in there with money, you have to be resourceful. Okay? And being resourceful means you have a few phrases. You can muddle through without any Vietnamese. Yes, you can. But a few phrases will alleviate a lot of aggravation. Right? You need an audio component, you do. But even with an audio component, you're going to say it wrong. Don't worry about it. You should be able to say it close enough that they can at least get what you're trying to say. Alright? And if they're not, slow down. Or listen more carefully to whatever audio component, video thing, or whatever you have. Because it'll save you a lot of aggravation if you learn a few things. Focus on what you need. It's so easy to get carried away. Learning a foreign language, you can make it impossible very easily. Really easy to make these things impossible. Why? Just keep it simple. Take their advice. The alphabet, you don't have to know how to say the letters unless you're going to spell something out loud. Why are you going to do that? Don't complicate it. But knowing what it sounds like, the combination sounds, that you do need to know. That's going to drive you up a wall. Food. Being able to order something locally in a local restaurant. Keep it simple, you know. The traveler language, just language skills for travelers. Stick to that to begin with. You know, it's don't make it impossible. It really doesn't have to be, but you do need to do some preparation. I'm really a strong believer in flashcards. Stick to the traveler's phrases, and that'll take you a long way. You need an audio component. Also remember that you need the audio component, because unless you know what it's terrible to have to unlearn stuff. I can't think of anything worse when you're learning a language. You need the audio component. Audio component, flashcards, and you got to put in the work. No one can do it for you. It doesn't work that way. So find material you enjoy using. Flashcards. And you got to put in the work. And just stick to the travelers. Traveler videos, traveler language skills. Enough people have been through what you're gonna put yourself through now, that they know what to focus on, what's really necessary. So a lot of people have already put in that work. You know, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. They know a lot. Okay, it's already Oh my God, 45 minutes. That's enough. Put in the work. And you should do fine. Talk to you later.